Good day everyone, I am one of the reporters of Group 2 and I'm going to continue to discuss the components of special and inclusive education. Last meeting, we tackled about the child find through a pre-referral process and the assessment. And now, I'm going to continue the discussion of methods of assessment. But first, I'm going to give you some refreshments of what I've discussed last meeting on what is methods of assessment. So methods of assessment has three types of methods, which is the test, informal assessment, and the authentic assessment. There are two types of tests, which is the norm reference test and the criterion reference test. So last meeting, we're done discussing about the norm reference test, so now we're going to move on to the next type of test, which is the criterion reference test. So criterion reference test is a type of assessment where a child's performance is measured through a criteria. Here in criterion reference test, it is all about setting a standard or a criteria where there is a certain standards nga need na to nga kabuton. The purpose of this assessment is to determine whether that individual has achieved their specific learning objectives or competencies. So this type of test is used in an educational settings to assess students' specific skills or knowledge areas kung asa sila maayo. So next is the informal assessment, or professionals call it non-standardized test. So informal assessment is a type of evaluation that involves gathering information and making observation about the child's performances. So here in informal assessment, it's more on observing a child. An example of this is a teacher observing the child engaging in the classroom, or a teacher listens to a child reading while counting the accuracy and speed, and a teacher analyzing a child's work portfolio. So the next and the last topic is the authentic assessment. Authentic assessment provides students the opportunity to apply knowledge and skills in the meaningful real-world settings. Just like the informal assessment, it is more on observation but more on real-world performances or in a real-world settings. Just like a child playing in a playground or in a classroom, it is more on demonstrating and more on activities. During the observation, the teacher and other specialties can use a running record. Here in authentic assessment, while observing the child, they need to record the child's performances. Here are some essential information to be included in the record. The first one is the date and time of the observation. Here, butang nimo kung kanusa nimo gibuhat ang hitabo ang observation. Next one is the name of a child. Third one is the location kung asa nahitabo ang observation. The third one is the verbatim records of what the children said. So record ni siya sa kung unsa ang mga gipang sulti sa bata ana na time sa imong observation. So the fourth one is actual events that occurred, ang mga happenings ana nga time. So for the last topic of the assessment is the assessment principles. So assessment principles refers to the guiding principles and best practices that informs the assessment process for students with diverse learning needs. So it is not like the other assessment. Assessment principles is provided by the department. It is a kind of assessment where it's provided by the Department of Early Childhood of the Council for Exceptional Students, or DEC. So it is more like ethical and legal principle. So it still uses some variety of assessment methods or tools, and authentic measures, as well as the involvement of the family to decide the placement and the instructional planning of what they will do to the child after the assessment. So that's all for the assessment, and I will give you to the next reporter.
Good day everyone, I'm Christian Tabi and I'm going to explain the educational placement options. On page 2, figure 4.2. There are 8 educational placement options in there, and let's start in the least restrictive option. First is the educational class with modification. This is the least restrictive placement where a child with educational needs learn in a regular general education classroom with curriculum modification to meet their specific needs. In this setting, students with disabilities receive a necessary adjustment to the curriculum to ensure that they can access the same learning experiences as their typical developing peers. For example, a student with dyslexia might receive modified reading materials or extra time for reading in assignment in a general education classroom. Next is the educational class with related services. In this setting, a child with additional needs is a part of a general education classroom but also receive a supplementary services like speech therapy, physical therapy, or counseling during the school day. Related services are provided to support the students' development and participation in the general education environment. For example, a student with a speech language delay attend regular classes and also receive speech therapy session during school hours to improve communication skills. The third one is the educational class inclusive or co-thoughts with special education teacher. Inclusive education places a child with additional needs in a general education classroom with the support of a special education teacher. Inclusive promotes diversity by ensuring all students, regardless of their disability or ability to learn in the same classroom. For example, a student with autism is fully included in a regular classroom with the assistance of a special education teacher who helps with the individual instructions and social interactions. The fourth one is self-contained special education class in a general education school. Students in the setting attend a separate classroom within a general education school for more individualized or small group interaction. Some students may benefit from a quieter and more focused environment with specialized instruction. For example, a student with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder or ADHD attends regular classes but also gets extra help in separate classroom within the same school for target support. The fifth one is general education class with resources center instruction. Students may are part of a general education classroom but also may receive additional instruction or support from a specialized teacher in our resource room. Resource rooms provide focused assistance to help students with diverse needs succeed in the general education setting. For example, a student with a learning disability joins regular classes but also gets extra help in a resources room to work in reading skills with specialized teacher. The sixth one is a special education class in a special education school. In this more specialized setting, students with disability receive individualized instruction from special education professionals in a dedicated special education school. Highly specialized instructions and support are provided to meet the complex needs of the students with disabilities. For example, a student with severe autism benefits from a highly specialized program in a special education school, focusing on communication and sensory integration. The seventh one is the residential facilities. Students live and receive educational support around the clock in a highly controlled environment. Residential facilities provide comprehensive care for students with severe emotion and behavioral challenges. For example, students with severe emotion disturbances may reside in the residential facilities where they receive 24-hour care, therapy, and education. The eighth one and the last one is a home or hospital program. Students students with severe medical conditions or multiple disabilities receive specialized education programs at home or in a hospital setting. These programs are tailored to the child's medical condition and abilities. For example, a child with severe medical condition may have a teacher visit their home or hospital room to provide instruction customized to their condition and learning. This educational placement option reflects on a continuum from the least to most restrictive, with the aim of inclusive education being provide access and support in the least restrictive setting possible, considering each student's strength, abilities, and needs. Each option seeks to create an environment where students can thrive and achieve their educational goals.
Good day, everyone. I am here to discuss about accommodations and curricular modifications. So, students with disabilities and additional needs who are studying in an inclusive general education classroom needs accommodations in the form of instructional support or other supplementary services. So, based on the book, accommodations or supports provided to students to help gain full access to class content and instructions. So we can understand this by discussing types of accommodations. So from the word, oh my god, excuse me. From the word accommodations, like understandable man siguro nga, like you accommodate something or you guide them with that thing. Diba? So the first type of accommodation is presentation accommodations. So this accommodation focuses on the students who have sensory and impairments, such as the effect of the sight, the hearing, or even the talking. So in order for this to succeed or to guide, to give guidance, or the accommodation itself, um, they'll be using the visual support, auditory support, listening, and focusing support. So, syempre, when you cannot hear something, you're using visual support. If you cannot see something, you're using auditory support or like mental block sa something. Oh my god! Or mental block sa something. Um, you have to get the listening and focusing support. Second one is the response accommodations. So this accommodation focuses on difficulties in writing or math difficulty or written expression difficulty. So this accommodation provides them with such materials and instruction. So mas mo give na siya higher level of support because it's much more difficult than the presentation accommodation. So the third one is the setting accommodation. So this setting accommodation, setting them in another room for them to focus on something that they are unable to pursue or succeed, especially in reading. Diba, when you are reading something, you need to focus more on yourself, especially when you have the slow ability to read or to write, even to write, diba? We have to focus on ourselves, not just like ato bisan daghan taw paningkamutan nato mga makabasa ta, but we cannot focus like that because mas makafocus ta if kita lang sa usa ka room. So this is the accommodation nga mas maka-help sa imuha nga maka-learn ka og something na para jud nga makahibaw ka sa imong gusto mahibaw-an, especially nga if ganahan ka mo read, if ganahan ka mo write, you're given the setting accommodation itself. This focuses on students who need support in their behavior and attention. So mas, syempre, if you have this low ability na makaread or makarite, we have to focus on you because you have to get attention that you need. Especially nga sa mga student nga high school na, we have to focus on them nga makahibaw sila anak nga butang because high school naman sila, di ba? Di ba? So lastly is the scheduling accommodation. Scheduling accommodation. So students with slower ability helps in processing information and directions. So here's the scheduling accommodations. Mas mo give sila og like accommodations sa student with slower ability, like grabe gud ka slow ang ability kay mas mo give sila og extending time for assignments or assessment or providing them break between tasks. So syempre, as we all know nga ang mga students or ang mga tao nga with slower abilities na with slower abilities nga makalearn sa usa ka butang, we have to give them time. We have to give them break nga maka-think or maka-focus sa usa ka butang nga ato ang ginatulo sa ilaha. So sa scheduling accommodations, mas na-focus sila sa paghatag og attention sa mga grabe ka slow nga ability nga nga students. So also nga kanang it is the responsibility sa scheduling accommodation, it is the responsibility nga muhatag og time because from the word schedule itself nga mas maghatag sila og kanang tuon nga oras na makalearn sila sa usa ka butang. So the second one is the modification, so the curricular modification. So modification means a change in what is being taught to or expected from the student. So example, making an assignment easier so the student is not doing the same level of work as other students. So some modification or sa curricular modification, it includes changes in instructional level like content and performance criteria as well as the breadth and depth of content being learned by students. So mas like if you as an example, as the given example na maghatag og assignment na easier or mas easy siya, mas sayon para ang student kay not doing the same level sa other student kay syempre when you have this everybody are different, we are not really similar to each other. So naabay uban student na mas low jud ang ability kaysa other students. So especially sa ako or especially sa mga butanga, no, especially as an example sa high school na ako nga time na ami classmate nga they call that mas kuan siya hinay siya maka-learn sa mga butang mas nakuan na mo, mas natun-an na mo. So like lisod kayo sa iya, so kuan mas sayon ang gihatag sa iya nga butang para lang matabangan siya nga maka-graduate or maka-learn siya sa una nga wala niya na tun-an hantod sa matun-an na niya ang amo ang level. So so curricular modification is a change to a classroom activity to the classroom material in order to maximize a child's participation. So accommodation, on the other hand, is a change that helps a student overcome or work around the disability. So I think understandable naman siguro, and that's all for my topic. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I'm the last reporter. I'm Rhea Luces, and this is my report. Parent involvement. What is parents' involvement? When parents actively collaborate with educators, their child educational experience becomes more comprehensive, individualized, and effective. By working together, parents and educators can create a supportive and inclusive learning environment that promotes the academic and the social success of students with disabilities. According to Arthur Broughton Burns, human ecological theory that there are five environment systems. First is macrosystem. Encompasses factors such as societal values, beliefs, norms, laws, and policies related to parenting and education. For example, in a society where education is highly valued, there may be cultural expectation and policies that encourage and support parents' active participation on their children's education. Second, ecosystem. In the, in the ecosystem represented by the parents' workplace indirectly influence parent involvement by affecting their time, ability, energy, access to resources, creating supportive work environments and policies that value and accumulate parental involvement can contribute to fostering create engagement between parents and their children's education. For example, if a parent does not have access to flexibility work arrangement or parental leaves policies, it may be challenging for them to attend school meetings or events during regular working hours. Third, the mesosystem. Mesosystem is by the relationship between child, school, their family plays crucial roles and parents involvement. When there is effective communication, collaboration, and shared decision making between these two microsystems, it can create positive influence on the child development and educational experiences. For example, is when a school actively involves parents and decision-making processes in school activities. When parents are included in school communities, parent teachers association or other collaborative initiatives, it creates a strong system that promotes and share responsibility for child education. Parenting communicating with parents may be done in several ways. First is parent-teaching conferences. Ang parents-teacher conferences, ito na yung gagawa ng PTI meeting yung teacher mo para sabihin doon yung mga bagay na kailangan sa school or ano yung problema ng isang estudyante. At ano yung mga bagay na nagagawa niya at mga kailangan ng parents para i-approve yung kanyang anak para there are communicating with parents may be done in several ways. First, parents teachers conferences. Ito na yung yung kayo mismo na estudyante, papatawagin ng teacher nyo, yung mga parents nyo, papuntahin school para mag-meeting at kakausapin yung parents mo about sa'yo or anong problema sa grades nyo or sa may babayaran ba kayo at mga activities sa school or may activity ba na gagawin at babayaran sa school. Writing communication. Ito yung tinatawag na pag may concern ka sa iyong teacher ay pwede mo siya i-message kung kahit saang platform ng social media. Tapos, doon kayo mag-uusap through social media. Ganon. Digital communication. Digital communication, ito yung ano yung ginagamit yung platform like email, text message, or messenger, and etc. And yan ang digital communication. Homeschool contracts. Ito yung bibigyan kayo ng slip or parents' consent para pipirmahan ng iyong parents kung ano bang gagawin or papayagan ba kayo or what. Like, example is, meron kayong activity sa school, like, pupunta kayo ng, ng camping, hindi, in campus, all campus. Then, bibigyan kayo ng teacher nyo ng parents' consent, para yung parents' consent, yun yung nagsasabi na totoo yung sinasabi nyo meron kayong camping sa school nyo. Yan ang homeschool contract. And the last, other ways to involve parents. Ito na yung first is parent education. Sa parent education is, ito na yung nasa bahay nga lang kayo na need yun ng guide sa gagawin yung homework or assignment na binigay sa inyo ng inyong teacher. Nandito yung parents natin para turuan tayo paano natin gagawin ito. Yun ang parents education. Ang parent support groups, ito naman yung parents nyo kung hindi alam yung sasagutin or hindi nila naintindihan yung pag-explain mo sa kanila kung paano gagawin yung pinapagawa sa inyo ng teacher. Pwede siyang magtanong sa parents ng inyong classmate at sila mag-uusap, or pwede rin siya magtanong sa inyong guro para tanungin yung ano ba talaga yung gagawin ng anak ng parents. And that's all. Thank you for listening my report.
In this conclusion, the components of special and inclusive education are crucial for providing a quality education to the students with diverse needs. These components include identifying and assessing students' needs, developing individualized educational plans, providing appropriate accommodation and modification, and fostering supportive and inclusive learning environment. By implementing these components effectively, educators can help the students with disabilities and other special needs to reach their full potential and achieve academic success. It is important for school educators to prioritize these components to ensure all students receive the education they deserve.